Okay guys, today I have another ARC review for you. This one's actually a little early since I have a couple of books coming out on Tuesday next week. So if you're seeing this the day that this video comes out, I'm so sorry this book is not going to be out for another week, but I just could not wait to tell you about this book. I have been so excited for this book. I have been looking forward to it. If you saw my TBR video, I was super stoked for it then, and I'm so excited to say that this book, well, it's called Right on Cue, but it was right on time for me. It's one of the best books that I have read so far in 2024. The year is early, but I'm excited to tell you about it. So if you didn't get it there from my really bad pun, this book is called Right on Cue by Falon Ballard. I have reviewed both of Falon Ballard's previous books, and they have both been super lovely, amazing, super happy reviews. And it's kind of at that point where, again, this is a third book, right? And you're just like, okay, the first one was really good, and then the second one lived up to it, and then the third one, what's gonna happen? It's just like really scary almost, like when you love an author's writing style this much as it is like anticipatory. While I don't think Right on Cue is my favorite of the three books, it's still really far up there. So Right on Cue is the story of Emmy and Grayson. So Emmy was originally an actress who became a screenwriter known for writing rom-coms until her father, who she loved very much, died unexpectedly. She wrote one more serious film for which she won an Oscar, and now she is trying 4 years after her father's death to get back into writing a romantic comedy because those are the things that make her happy. Things to know about Emmy is that her father and her mother were both very famous in Hollywood. And so Emmy is what is known as a Nepo baby. And so she has felt the stress her entire life of living up to her family's, not their expectations, but the expectations of everyone around her from when she got into the business to be just as good as them, who were both award winners in acting and directing and producing. But also just like for herself. And so when she first started to get into the world, she wanted to be an actress. She made one romantic comedy that she starred in at the age of 15, and it went really poorly. So the rub, she's gone back to writing rom-coms, right? She's trying to get over her father's death, become more confident in herself, and like get back out there. Problem is that they can't cast the female lead from this movie, and when their funder threatens to pull his money out of the production because it's getting delayed as they're looking for the female lead for this movie, the director, who was also Emma's best friend, says, hey, why don't you do it? You wrote the movie, you wrote a lot of yourself in this character, and the leading man in this is also a good friend of ours, and you'll be really comfortable and you can do it. And after some arm twisting, she agrees. The problem, when she shows up on site to start filming the movie in this beautiful, like snowy mountain inn in a small town situation, as many rom-coms are set, the leading man that they cast, their friend, has broken his leg snowboarding, and they have had to emergency cast a new person whose name is Grayson West. Grayson West is mostly known for doing He-Man action flicks where he shoots a lot of machine guns with his shirt off, and also was Emmy's co-star in that ill-fated first movie they made when they were teenagers, when they had a huge flirt fest that turned into a kiss that had some terrible ramifications, in which Grayson was heard to say to one of his friends that she, one, kissed like a fish, a cold dead fish, and two, had only gotten the role because her parents were famous, which, hurt all of her teenage insecurities and is basically like the reason that she quit acting and moved into writing. She's never seen him since, and she does not want to see him now. But now they also have to pretend that they like each other on screen when they do not off screen. I was super stoked about this novel in general because it has a lot of the things that I love in my romance novels. It has the flavor of Second Chance, but also a very strong enemies to lovers context. And so I was like, oh, that like mixture of the two I really enjoy. And from the beginning, it's really funny because Emmy has kind of been like building up. You kind of heard snippets about why she quit acting before the whole story really starts. And so you know about like He Who Must Not Be Named. And when Grayson shows up, he's like, doesn't recognize her. And so you get this like, Emmy's been building her fury and building her fury and building her fury. And Grayson's like, who are you? Yeah, meet cute it is not. We're secondary mute cute, I guess. It's funny right from go. To further complicate matters is that when Grayson is in scenes with anyone else who's in the movie, he is doing an amazing job playing this person who's not really to the normal like macho type. The male lead that Emmy has written for this movie is very soft, gentle, and, you know, rather emotionally intelligent, which are 3 things Emmy would never describe Grayson as. But when he is on scene with her, he is a flat, emotionless robot, and she is just getting angrier and angrier and angrier, and the entire situation basically threatens to derail the entire shoot, because this is really funny. They are not the only 2 people like invested in their relationship, even just as friends, because they're constantly getting comments, or at least Emmy is, from all these people she knows on the production, like come on, like you might not like each other, but you really have to try harder because so many people's jobs and money are on the line. I think one of the problems with this novel is that it is not a dual POV, and that's not unsurprising from Falon Ballard. Her other 2 books were also just from a single perspective. But I think the problem is, in the beginning, it's really, really hard to get a read on Grayson because A, she is so convinced he's an a-hole, and 2, he kind of acts like an a-hole in the beginning, and you are stuck with lines like, and a flash of what could have been, you know, self-doubt flashed through his eyes, but that couldn't have been what Emmy saw. And it's a little bit frustrating because in the beginning, it's just really hard to suss him out. It kind of feels like his character is a little bit all over the place. And as you learn more about his own like personal, like self-conscious demons that he's fighting, it makes more sense. But again, it's really hard in the beginning not having his point of view and only really seeing him through Emmy's eyes, because in the beginning, I was also just like, like, I know I'm supposed to want you together, but it's really hard when I can't have a better explanation for some of this behavior. I like having an emotional connection to all the leads in a romance, and so I just in general find single point of view novels to be not my favorite. But, you know, as long as you stick with it, it starts to even out as Grayson begins to open up to Emmy and you see more of him, but I think it's a little bit of a rough start. So once their relationship starts to rev up, it revs up, let me tell you. This is not a clean romance, in case you're wondering. I think the thing, though, was that I could tell exactly what lane this novel was going to like go in towards its like, you know, 75% of the way through fight thing. And I felt a little bit disappointed with that because it just felt really obvious and really telegraphed. And again, like, you know, that thing is coming in most romance books, but normally there's at least some build up, or it's not just like, it doesn't feel quite so telegraphed. And so I was just like sitting there at that point of the book just being like, oh, they're happy now, but this is like, this other shoe is about to drop, but like not in a like tension way for me, and just a like, this is gonna happen now. That might just be me about how I feel about how these things happen in romance novels. It might not be a fault of the book, so we'll just put that out there. But the ending really redeems it, and obviously I'm not going to spoil it, but up until that point, and they have this fight, and I'm just like, I'm not really feeling the emotional feelings thing that maybe I've had a little bit stronger in other Falon Ballard books. And then the resolution comes in and it all kind of comes together, and it's very emotionally intelligent and wonderful. And I was like, oh, there are my feelings, there they are. And so I feel like it has a kind of iffy beginning, a really good middle, and then I thought it was going downhill, and the ending really saved it and it came back together. So, you know, it just, this book to me is a little bit more uneven, but oh, did it come out all right in the end. Falon Ballard's books to me are like above the rest, above the cut, because of the emotionality in them. There are very few authors that I feel like do that really well in a way that really connects with me. If I were to say a top 3 authors that I have that reaction to, it is Falon Ballard, obviously, and Emily Henry and Denise Williams, all of whom I have reviewed multiple books of on this channel. And I just come to expect, like, not just a romance, but something that is emotional, and not just between the 2 characters, but with the 2 characters and the things going on in their lives. And again, there was a lot of stuff brought up for Grayson that I felt in the end remained unresolved, and maybe that's okay. Maybe it wasn't supposed to be resolved. But again, this one, since it is single POV, doesn't really give us that window into him in that way. None of Falon Ballard books do that. Again, they're all single POV, but this one definitely, I think, you know, above the other 2, made me feeling like that was like a whole and not just a choice for the book, if that makes sense. Would I recommend Lisan Love and Just My Type before this book? Yes. Would I tell anyone not to read this book? Absolutely not. If you have not yet read any of Falon Ballard's books, I highly recommend that you do. You can check out my other reviews on her books for more. If you want more books like Falon Ballard stuff, you can check out my reviews on Denise Williams or Emily Henry. I know Emily Henry has been like really blowing up, and so maybe you're familiar with her books, but I don't see people talking nearly as much about Denise Williams and Falon Ballard, and I think they should. So again, thank you so much to the publisher and Edelweiss for giving me an arc of this book. I was so excited to read this and just like so ready to feel all of the feelings that her other books have definitely given me. And in the end, it definitely gets there. So just sign up for the ride when this book does come out. Give it a try. Not every book is for every person. However, I highly recommend these. I'll see you guys next time.